In today's program, we speak with Rachel Parent. Rachel is a savvy young lady who has taken up the challenge of educating people about the problems with GMOs. In doing that, she's formed an organisation called Kids Right to Know, through which she offers a huge amount of information about what's going on in the world of GMOs and all the problems that they bring with them. So let's join Alain and Rachel now and find out why GMOs are such a problem for our good health.
Good morning, Rachel, and welcome to the Carb Paleo show.
Good morning, Mark and Alain. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Mr. Braux, how are you today?
I'm fine. How's everybody? Are you fine, Rachel?
I'm doing great, thank you.
You and I first met online through LinkedIn. We had a common interest about the genetically engineered food issue, and it's our pleasure to have you on today. So before we get going, I know you're already famous, but for those of us that don't know much about you, can you give us a little background about yourself and how you became interested in the GMO issue?
Sure. When I was about 12 years old, we were given the task to write a speech for school, and I honestly had no clue what to do it on. But I did know that I wanted to write a speech that will be very impactful for many people, and what's more impactful than food? Most people eat 3 times a day. So I decided to do it on food, and as I researched more and more, I found out about GMOs. And when I started to research it, I realized how big of an issue it was. So I decided to look around Canada and see if there were any groups that I could join that were trying to label GMOs, as I found out they weren't labeled. And I didn't see any. So I said, you know what? Why not? Let's start my own group. And so I started Kids Right to Know when I was 12. And it's been about 4 years now, an incredible journey, and I'm just so honored to be a part of this amazing movement.
Now, you and I know what GMOs are and how they affect our environment and health, but for people not aware yet, can you give us your quick version of what GMOs are?
A GMO is a genetically modified organism, and it's where they take DNA from one species and insert it into another to introduce a new trait. And there are 2 common traits associated with GMOs. The first one is pesticide producing, so they insert a bacteria into the plant so when a bug eats it, its stomach will essentially explode. And the other trait is herbicide resistant, so you can spray thousands and thousands of pounds of herbicides onto these crops without killing them.
That's a good explanation. What impressed me the most from the beginning was how knowledgeable you are about this important issue. Typically, we're told that the younger generation doesn't care much about those big issues. As a member of that generation, can you tell us why they should be concerned about this issue? And in other words, less concerned with their iPhone and more concerned about their iFood?
Yeah, for sure. GMOs, when I started to research them, I realized how they really impacted our health and the environment in so many ways. And we really need our generation to stand up and make a difference. It really does concern our future. I mean, GMOs, first of all, to give an example, are actually contributing to the dying off of our bees and butterflies, who are responsible for 1 in 3 bites of food we eat every day. And so if bees and butterflies die, our food supply is going to be severely impacted, affecting our future. And for instance, with health, it's linked to allergies, digestive disorders, organ damage, even things like tumors, a lot of the things that we've been seeing on the rise. And so really, it does impact our future directly, and that's why we need kids to get up and take a stand, and that's happening more and more. When I go to schools across Canada, kids, when they find out about GMOs, the automatic response is, how can I make a difference? How can I help you? And so even if your passion isn't GMOs, I think that every kid needs to stand up and take action on whatever their passion is.
Absolutely, and I've noticed the same issues with my clients. I'm seeing a lot more kids with food allergies and digestive problems and so on and so forth for the past 10 years, and that's what got me involved in the GMO, because eventually I put the 2 together, the genetically engineered food and digestive issues. As you know, some of these genetically engineered plants have Bt toxin in them, and that's what's affecting our kids' health.
For sure.
So I would like to apologize for our generation. It seems like we have dropped the ball, and we are sort of leaving it up to your younger generation to take care of it. I'm trying to do my part, but I'm very impressed at the fact that you picked up the ball and you're trying to help correct what we didn't. So I'm sorry for our generation for not picking up on that and correcting that problem before you guys came around.
Well, it's definitely important, and it's not only important for our future, but it's important for your future as well. Every generation is facing these issues, so I think that we all have to collaborate and work together, and then we can truly make a difference.
Good. You founded and lead the group Kids Right to Know. Your slogan is One Planet for All and all for One Planet. Can you tell us more about your group's goal?
Our goal is to get mandatory GMO labeling in Canada, and that's with working with the public, trying to inform them so that we can all demand GMO labeling. Also, from there, we've been working more and more on the political aspect. So recently, I had the opportunity to meet with Rona Ambrose, our Minister of Health, and so we discussed GMO labeling. Coming up, I'll be meeting with the Health Canada officials. Also, there's a whole bunch of actions that people who are interested in GMOs and who are helping Kids Right to Know are taking a part in. And for instance, the March Against Monsanto, that's May 23rd. So for anyone who's listening, it's a global march. I really encourage anyone who would like to take action on this extremely important issue to join because, it really does make a change. Last year we had 4,000 people at that march, and it was absolutely incredible knowing that every year this march is getting bigger. So I think together we can all make this march super big. We can demand GMO labeling, and we will have the right to know.
So I understand you'll be meeting soon with the Health Canada officials to discuss GMO mandatory labeling. Can you tell us more about this exciting event?
Yeah, well, I was meeting with our Minister of Health, Rona Ambrose, and we were discussing who's responsible for labeling in Canada. And she said, I'm not just a figurehead, but, I don't make this decision. So I said, who does make this decision? And she says, well, the Health Canada officials. So she's booked a meeting with me. That'll be happening later this month. It's very exciting, and I really hope to find out answers, and I'll let everyone know how it went once it's done.
Well, thank you for doing that. It's very impressive. I couldn't even get my Minister of Health on the phone if I wanted to. Great for you. Great for you. You're doing, amazingly well for a young lady of your age. Is there any more events that you will be involved soon that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, I know that I will be traveling quite a bit. It's very exciting. I'll be able to travel to New York and Hawaii, hopefully. And so those are really exciting events. There's a couple of things in between. But the major ones are definitely May 23rd. So I really hope that everyone can make it out. And also, we are going to be having an I'm Not a Science Experiment Day. And that'll be taking place on Earth Day. And so we have T-shirts on our website that say, I'm not a science experiment. And we're hoping that everyone on Earth Day will wear one of these T-shirts. You can order them off our website. And this will be to create awareness about GMOs and labeling. So what we're hoping people will do is that they'll bake cookies, they'll go over to their neighbors, small actions, but really to create awareness. Get involved with your community, let people know, and that'll be the premise of the I'm Not a Science Experiment Day.
I think Mark and I are going to order those T-shirts. Right, Mark?
Great, thank you.
Just if nothing else but to help you. I already have Hell No GMO T-shirt, so I need to get another one because that one is getting used. On a similar but slightly different, I know you're pushing for labeling, but I hear other people like Jeffrey Smith that his position is we can educate people and convince them that GMOs are not good for them, and tell them stop buying genetically engineered food, that will switch the balance. As companies sees that we're not buying their products, that eventually they will buy themselves, because the free market, they will by themselves switch to a healthier version of what do you think about this?
For sure, and I completely agree. As Jeffrey said, if we can get 5% of Canadians or people in the U.S. to stop eating GMOs, we manufacturers will stop buying products that contain GMOs. So, or the raw materials such as corn and canola that contain GMOs. So, what we're really hoping to do ourselves as an organization is to get GMOs labeled, because until they're proven safe, we do deserve the right to know. But I 100% agree with Jeffrey Smith, and I completely back him up on his message.
So I applaud you for doing your best to educate young people, and Mark and I and many others, and of course Jeffrey Smith, we are trying to educate the people and let them know. It's hard to break through. A lot of people are very slow to pick up on the idea that genetically engineered food is not good. What's your experience with that?
When you tell people that GMOs are linked to things like digestive disorders, organ damage, allergies, tumors, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. People become really worried about their health, their kids. That's why it's such a big issue. And not only that, but when you tell them that our bees and butterflies are dying off, new superweeds and superbugs are coming out because they're becoming resistant to the pesticides used with GMOs. Also, things like our soil becoming contaminated, our water becoming contaminated with the pesticides used, and that people are actually drinking water that contains pesticides because of the use of GMOs. People definitely freak out, and they really do want to make a change. So I think that's the best way to approach telling people about GMOs, is to really let them know about all the issues.
I have a firm belief that we as the people have the power to change things. A lot of people think that, well, there's nothing I can do. The government is all powerful and the corporations is all powerful. But let's keep in mind, we have the purchasing power. If we decide and we change our buying and decide to buy only certified organic, certified non-GMO, eventually the corporation will realize, oh my God, they're not buying our products anymore. So they will have to change. And we need to let people know that they have that power.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know there's a lot of issues right now out there, related to GMO with agriculture and the lack of nutrition and all that. What is your biggest food-related concern for the near future?
I think the fact that large corporations are putting their corporate wealth ahead of our health and the environment, that's the biggest food issue. Because not only are they putting their wealth ahead of us, but they're putting their wealth ahead of the environment. And it all has to do with GMOs. It's a handful of corporations that are doing this to our earth and to our future. And so I really think that GMOs are one of the biggest food issues right now. And if we all work together, we can make a difference in it. It is going to take a lot of work. It's not easy. I know from experience, I've tried to avoid GMOs in food products. We try and buy as much non-GMO things as we can. But it's tough. And it's not always available in a lot of ways. So I think that if we can get GMOs labeled, because really, this shouldn't really be an issue anymore. We live in a democracy, and that means that we should have the freedom to choose what we want to eat.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think that's one of the biggest food issues, the fact that we don't have transparency.
Absolutely. And, actually, when you think about it, it's not that difficult. We're telling our listeners all the time the best way to avoid GMOs is buy certified organic, buy certified non-GMO, avoid processed foods, buy at your local farmers market, and you should avoid most GMOs.
When you say you try and avoid GMOs as much as you can in what you eat, Do you follow any particular type of diet? Are you sort of paleo, or do you just eat the standard Canadian diet, if I can call it that?
I am a vegetarian,
Okay.
and I have been since birth. And so I've been on that for a very long time now.
Mm.
Um, I would like to try paleo in the future, for sure.
Hmm.
And I do technically have a regular Canadian diet because in Canada it is relatively hard to get non-GMO things. We try organic, but because it's cold here most of the time, sometimes it's harder to get organic produce.
Mm.
But at the same time, it is getting easier and easier, and the movement is growing exponentially. So it is really exciting to see that.
That's good. As a vegetarian, obviously you eat a lot of raw foods and that sort of thing. So, do you think it's more important, even for vegetarians, that the foods with containing GMOs are labelled?
Oh yeah, I think it's important for everyone, but in reality, I mean, if you're vegan or vegetarian and the food you're eating contains DNA from other species, is that really being vegan or vegetarian? And I think that's imposing on our rights as Canadians or wherever you live, because I, for instance, choose to be vegetarian and I don't want to have DNA from other species in my food. So I think that's why labeling is especially important for that.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I've not actually heard anyone else bring that up. Not even among my other many vegetarian friends. You know, they've all said, "Well, GMO doesn't matter." But you raise a brilliant point there that I will bring into conversation with them next time we chat.
Sounds good.
Yes, yeah, we do have some warm discussions.
Yeah. He's English, so he says warm discussion. In France, we have heated discussions.
How can people get hold of you and find out more about what you're doing?
Well, I'd say the best way is that we have a website called kidsrightoknow.com.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to find more out about GMOs and the actions we're taking, that would probably be the best source. Another thing is we have a Facebook page, so that would be Kids Right to Know.
Okay.
And we have a Twitter page, which is @Rachel'sNews.
Super job. Now, where do you see what you're doing going within sort of the next few years? Do you think that you will become more involved in these issues, or do you hope that things will move more quickly and you will no longer be needed?
Well, I think that we are going to get GMOs labeled relatively soon. I really have high hopes for that. And so if we do get GMOs labeled in the next few years, then I'm going to choose my next issue and keep going with activism.
That's a good spirit. I like that.
That's cool. Are you specifically leaning towards special, specialty for the future, whether it's biology or agriculture or maybe even marketing,
Yeah.
all that?
I love all of those, and it's actually so tough. I love biology. I also love journalism. And so maybe I'll look into that because to me, journalism is spreading truth with everyone, spreading information. So I think that's also something, or maybe environmental science or environmental law. So I'll see how it goes.
Super job.
Yeah,
Super job.
I have no doubt you will do well. I mean, as it is, I'm highly impressed. So we'll keep
Thank
an
you.
eye on you. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we close?
I was in India recently, and I think the one thing that I really learned from being in India is that we can talk about peace and war and stopping wars all we want, but the biggest form of peace is being in harmony with our soil, our water, our ecosystem, and ultimately our future. So I think that we need to work together for a better and brighter future.
Thank you for that. Thank you. On the positive sides of things, we seem to make some progress towards that. Anything else you'd like to add?
A quote that I always follow is, we must leave the earth better than we found it. And so I think working together, we can achieve that, and we will. So let's make the change.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And thank you again, Rachel, for being on the Low Carb Paleo Show. And as we say in Texas, à votre santé, y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again, Rachel. You have a brilliant day.
Thank you.